The City of Medicine Hat acknowledges that we live and work on treaty territory. The city pays respect to all Indigenous peoples and honors their past, present, and future. We recognize and respect their cultural heritages and relationships to the land. Item 5.1, adoption of the minutes from regular council meeting of November 17th, 2025. Any errors or omissions?
So move.
Okay, we'll move the adoption of the minutes, but we don't, I can just, if there's no objections, I will just,
Sorry.
that's okay, approve them as presented for the corporate record. Thank you, Councillor Varga. Adoption of the agenda. I know that Councillor Cox has one amendment, so we'll get that on the table.
It's, I think I know what you're referring to, Your Worship. That's the, I've lost track of the item.
I believe it's item 13.1.
Thank you. Simply that item being the approval of public member appointments to the designated advisory boards and commissions be adjourned or tabled till our next meeting.
Can we go with postponed?
Postponed, whatever
Okay.
you want to call it, I'm going to be fine with that.
So we have a motion to postpone item 13.1 to December 15th. Is there a seconder? Councillor Young seconds.
If I may, just because there will be people that are interested, people that have applied for positions, and I'm sure they're looking to find out whether they're going to be appointed to these things. Council didn't receive all of the applications and information. It was just an oversight, and they are extensive, and we need some time to read them. So we'll be reviewing those over the next week, and we'll come and make our decisions next week.
All right, so we'll vote on the postponement because it's more than just an amendment to the agenda. We'll just vote on it as its own thing. That's unanimous. Any other amendments to the agenda? All right, so we will adopt the agenda as amended for the corporate record. No, not for the corporate record, we're just adopting it. Next up is council announcements. I have Councillor Reinish.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Through the chair, there was the annual staff kids Christmas party took place yesterday at the Big Marble Go Center, and there was some people in this room and some people who worked for City Hall who worked diligently and effortlessly to put this party together. I can tell you, I'm not a kid. I'm very immature, but I tell you there was a lot of kids there that had a great time between the skating and the bouncy castle and getting to meet Santa Claus. So just on behalf of the councillors, including the councillors that were there, Councillor Young, Councillor Hellman and myself, and I just want to say thank you to the staff that worked so hard to put those many smiles on all those kids' faces. It's a day and age where a lot of these Christmas parties don't happen, so it's nice when one can, and thank you to the staff that worked so hard for that.
Thank you, Councillor Reinish. Councillor Varga?
Thank you. Through the chair. On the weekend, the Tigers had a game, and it was an annual teddy bear toss. The Tigers scored real early, so it was nice to see all the people throw their teddy bears out. I haven't got a count yet as to how many teddy bears were thrown onto the ice, but I know it was a great amount. They filled the ice. I think it took 15 minutes to clear the ice, so it was a good thing for the kids. And I think 4 organizations are gonna cherish from this to give it to the less fortunate or to the kids in our community. So I think it was a night well deserving of the people of Medicine Hat for how much they gave. Some people I heard gave 6 teddy bears, so it was a pretty good night. So congratulations to them on another well-deserved teddy bear toss.
Did they win the game? I think was the question.
Yes, they did win the game
Okay.
by a score of 5-1.
Ooh, so a double win. Thank you, Councillor Varga. Councillor Young.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Clark. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of attending the Alberta Tourism Conference and Awards in Edmonton, and I got to attend that with Tourism Medicine Hat. And in the evening, there was a premier's dinner. It was great, and actually, it was really cool to see that one of the 3 finalists for, I think it was the Tourism Growth Award, was from Medicine Hat, and it was Tamara Miller, and she owns Miller's Haunts, which is the ghost tour. And so it was really cool to see Medicine Hat being celebrated. The premier was really excited to see that, and it's certainly something that I would love council for us to go check that out at some time in the spring, something we could do together. So just wanted to give them a shout out and thanks for Tourism Medicine Hat for joining with me.
I take it you aren't afraid of no ghosts.
Not
if you're willing
one.
to go on that. Any other councillor announcements tonight? No? Okay, thank you for those who made announcements. Now we are going to move to the consent agenda, and if there's anyone who wants to bring out one of the items for discussion, please do so now. I know, Councillor Hellman, you have indicated you want to pull the item 8.8?
8.3.
Okay.
Corporate Service Committee meeting minutes.
Okay, so we'll pull that for discussion. Anyone else want to pull an item for discussion from the consent agenda? Nope. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Move.
That was Councillor Varga, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Hellman. We'll vote on the consent agenda as amended. That's unanimous. Now, Councillor Hellman, item 8.3.
8.3, so I just wanted to highlight from our last Corporate Service Committee meeting last month. I just wanted to do a quick highlight. Council approved a $2 million efficiency target as part of the 2025-2026 operating budget to reduce tax-supported expenses, to help close the budget gap and to minimize the need for further tax increases. So just to highlight some of that, the 2025-26 budget already included several efficiency measures such as zero inflation assumptions, a $4.1 million capital budget reduction, workflow optimization, and minimizing new debt issuance. To achieve the $2 million efficiency target, the focus was on reducing operating expenses across tax-supported departments without impacting service levels. The reductions were composed of 27% in staffing efficiencies that were found, and that includes a reduction in 3 vacant FTEs and 5 position classification changes, and then 73% in administration and support costs from 4% in lower investment management fees, 18% was in fuel savings from the carbon tax removal, 5% was in reduced irrigation, 39% was in concrete and storm sewer, which will be reincorporated into the capital program. 21% was in reduced materials, office supplies, training, and travel, and 14% was reduced in contracted services. So this reduction represents approximately a 2% tax impact and ensures that efficiencies are achieved without compromising the quality of service provided in the community. So that's what our team did last year. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one, but Councillor Cox is on the speaker's list.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted, I was pleased to see this item. I wasn't aware that this initiative had been taken by previous council, and I think it's a good idea and a positive approach. But I was concerned when I looked, and this is on page 25 of your packets, and I just questioned the realisticness of maintaining zero inflation assumptions. I can't do that in my own home with the food bill, or the gas bill, or the electric bill, or my automobile insurance, or anything. So I, perhaps through the chair to someone either,
I'm going to throw it to Acting Managing Director Barda,
Thank
if that's
you.
okay.
bet.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Cox. Yeah, so that was a difficult decision to make. However, we did look at items that we could control and absorb the inflation amounts. Items such as salary and wage increases were not impacted, or were not, I guess, impacted by this zero inflation amount. As well, there were certain cost pressures that we had to realize as well. But we tried as best as we could to keep inflation at zero on the items that we could control.
Can I have a follow-up? How were they absorbed? Like you said that like we could absorb, where did that money come from? Like what does that, what does that mean?
Yeah, so it was just looking for different areas where maybe we could reduce costs in. So contracted services, potentially looking at items that, could we reduce external consultant work? Could we look at just different areas that maybe we could cut back on? So we did a lot of that in addition to this $2 million additional efficiency target reduction.
Okay, so is it correct then to say that the zero inflation is not an item in and of itself? It is the result of reducing other areas?
Sure, yeah.
Because it sounds like when you're talking about absorbed, it means we cut other areas so that we could afford the amount that things cost.
Yeah, so you could put it that way. We did look at, so I guess the purpose of that exercise was to take a look at where can we find savings? Because we know going into this 25-26 budget year was going to be tight. And so we looked at areas of where we could already cut. So we've done an exercise to cut so that we could maintain that zero inflation.
Thank you. I think at some point I would like a little bit more detail on like what actually was cut. Councillor Cox, did you have a follow-up on your question? No? Okay. Any other questions on item 8.3? Or comments? Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt for the corporate record, item 8.3, Corporate Services Committee meeting minutes of November 27, 2025?
So move.
Seconded.
Thank you. We will vote on that. That's unanimous. Next up, we have a delegation. It's kind of an annual or semi-annual affair. We have with us Jace Anderson, the Executive Director of the Destination Marketing Organization, otherwise known as Tourism Medicine Hat. And he is here to present the 2025 mid-year report. Welcome, Executive Director Anderson, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration, residents, and friends. On behalf of our industry-led volunteer board of directors and our small but mighty team with Tourism Medicine Hat, it is my absolute pleasure to present to you here today. At Tourism Medicine Hat, we recognize that Southern Alberta is situated on traditional lands. We recognize that we're here right now, that we strive to learn continually And in doing so, we recognize that we will make mistakes, that we commit to owning those mistakes, taking responsibility and learning from them as a shared endeavor. If you build a place where people want to visit, you'll build a place where people want to live. And that is a beautiful photograph of one of many beautiful places in our city and community in Southeast Alberta. We work in tourism at the intersection of economic development and the visitor economy. We exist to strengthen Medicine Hat's tourism profile through destination awareness. Our vision is to be that trusted partner. The DMO has been serving Medicine Hat since 2013 as a result of a grassroots industry movement, an effort the city was integrally engaged in at the time and since. This work has led us to destination awareness efforts as well as strategic destination management. Simply said, we promote what is while we collaborate to develop and support what could be. We develop tours that are experientially focused, something to see and do, something to eat and drink. Something like our ice cream tour that has been an absolute success throughout the summer. Pairing local food and drink partners that showcase the culinary and cultural identity of our community. The team at Tourism Medicine Hat led the development of 28 ticketed events between January and June of 2025. Those 28 experiences included partnering with 35 different entrepreneurs and businesses in Medicine Hat, efforts that drive local and immediate economic impact, ticketed and paid for. Our social media efforts mirror our advertising and marketing efforts in that they often strive to serve two distinct key business outcomes. First, they drive awareness and consideration and ultimately conversion. For example, our collaboration with Medelta in the Historic Clay District in delivering the Dinner in the Kiln experiences that saw recent dinner tickets sell out in less than 24 hours. That means 48 people, local and visitors, paid a premium which generates net revenue for Medelta while fairly compensating participating chefs and restaurateurs. It becomes an absolute win. That's the first part. Secondly, though, is this particular Instagram reel data affirms. We put Medicine Hat with that reel in front of, at the time, 181,000 people online. People who learn or, like you and I, are reminded that Medicine Hat is the sort of community that delivers this incredible experience, this high-value food and drink opportunity all year round, not just on the dinner in question. That's a good reason to be here, to live here, and to visit too. It's things like this that matter. It turns out that when we travel, we like to eat and drink too. An industry mentor of mine developed this message, and in our work, I reflect on it often. When we build a place people want to visit, we build a place people want to live. We refer to that in some of our material as big life in a small city. That effort builds a place where people want to work. That place where people want to live and to work is where business needs to be, which is a place people have to visit, they want to visit, and then they want to live. It's rinse, it's repeat, and it's grow with intention. I decided to change it up this time around. I didn't lead with congratulations to all of you, but I wanted to let you know that I am ecstatic that we get to work with each and every one of you over the next 4 years. I decided to change it up because I didn't bring 60 pages of material that I would read from and reference. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I decided to change it up because I recognize and appreciate this is a mid-year report that it is my pleasure to deliver, but I look forward to being in front of you again in just a few months with our full 2025 annual data that we'll begin to pull together in just a couple of weeks. So you'll hear again and again and again over the next few years. You'll get comfortable with it, or at least used to it, if not comfortable. We live in an incredible community, and we have the wonderful opportunity to work with people who are tasked day in and day out with doing good work that builds the community, both for those who live here and for those who visit, because we do work at that intersection of economic development and the visitor economy. And I would welcome any questions or comments you might have through the chair. Thank you.
Wow, great job. Councillor Reinish.
Good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you.
Your passion for Medicine Hat, your commitment to this city is spectacular. I'll never get tired of that. And thank you. Thank you very much for continuing to be you, my brother.
Councillor Mohammed. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Councillor Varga.
Well, Chase, I get to work with you again for the next 4 years, so I'm kind of excited about that. Since my last term, I had the opportunity to do that. I think we've been together since 2013, so an important part of this community, of course, is tourism and getting people to stay here and see what we have here. So I'm also going to work hard with you on our sports tourism industry, which is very important to our culture around Medicine Hat and how many events that we can host, and glad that we're having that opportunity with the Canadian Special Olympics coming to Medicine Hat from August 9th to 16th and 26th. Where we're going to have 1,700 athletes coming, so I'm excited about that. It's been in the works for 8 years, so we're excited that it's coming to an end where we're going to showcase Medicine Hat to the rest of Canada. I just have one question. Do we have any hidden gems that we have not yet touched in Medicine Hat that you're aware of?
Oh, that's a great question through the chair. Thank you. I wrestle with the term hidden gem. I really do. It is something that we have used in the past, I think, as a community. We sometimes sort of note the forgotten corner. There's a few different terms we use, and I feel like they're deferential and they might speak to a past time. I feel as though over the last 5 to 10 years in particular, as a community, we've made some wonderful strides in lifting up to celebrate who we are as a community, the things that we do, and the opportunities that express and expose themselves here. And so hidden gems, I don't know. Things that surprise us, absolutely, whether that's the Saratoga Trail, and we deliver a walking tour there that's Indigenous partnered and Indigenous led, or a number of other aspects of the community. Surprises, yes. Hidden gems, it's semantics, but you got a little bit of the mind there.
So the only other part is that I've got a machine that can hit that rock, and maybe it's underneath that rock somewhere in Medicine Hat. So I can help you with that. So thank you for that comment.
Councillor Mohammed.
I just wanted to commend you and your team for all the hard work. You make it easy to live in Medicine Hat, and each time I talk to you, I feel like I love this place over and over again. And I'm sure that's the vibe you give people outside of this community. So thank you so much for selling Medicine Hat and even helping people to envision what is possible. Thank you.
Councillor Young.
Thank you, and thanks, Jace. Appreciate it. A couple things that stuck out to me, because I did take a little time to go through the full mid-year report, and I appreciate you giving that to me, or to everyone. One of the things that stuck out, I was looking at the Medicine Hat summer campaign that you guys did, and you included more than 70 local businesses, and it sounds like it wasn't just, 70 logos on a page saying, we sponsor this. It was 70 business that were kind of included in the process. And I just think when I see things like that, it really hits me in terms of, supporting local business and how important tourism is. So I just ask a question, like, what's the driver behind that? I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but commend you on that. But where's the push for that?
Thank you, and through the chair, it's perhaps a philosophical, but it's a recognition that the tide floats all boats. And if we run the risk of pigeonholing the work we do and just trying to get to the next outcome, we lose the overall impact. And so as a result, one of the things we've done very intentionally from the beginning is to include the stakeholders and the partners in the community that are generating the revenue and the benefit. And we do that better and better year after year after year. We're learning as we go, and we're pleased with some of the things we've been able to do in 2025 to lift those sorts of numbers, and we're eager to be able to report on the rest of the year and build on it in 2026. That's a really important part of how we approach it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jace. And just another thought on that, having attended the tourism forum, I got a little more info. And I think what surprised me was there was a statement at the forum that the tourism industry, which brought in, I have a number here, $14.4 billion in 2024, is now the fourth largest industry in Alberta. It actually took over Alberta beef, from what I understand, right? So that's not nothing. And I think for Medicine Hat, we're always talking about economic development and the things we need to do. There's just a huge opportunity. And obviously you guys are laying the groundwork for that, but I think as a council and as a city, we got to really, we're looking for new industry, new opportunities all the time. I think tourism is just such a massive, massive opportunity. Sometimes we don't think Medicine Hat because we're not Calgary, we're not Edmonton, we're not Banff. But there, obviously, as Jason knows, there's beautiful things here. So, and sorry, that was a long preamble to my last question. What do you think is the biggest right now? I'm sorry, I'm lost the word.
Opportunity?
Thank you. Or what's the biggest thing that's in the way from, let's say, Medicine Hat really kind of getting to that next level when it comes to tourism?
Thank you. That's a thoughtful question. I think I'm going to perhaps parrot and repeat something that I have shared in the past, but every year that as a community we grow, we impact this compression a little bit more and more every time, and that is available inventory for hotels, for room nights. The city has done and continued to make significant investments in camping inventory, and that's really important to us. There are opportunities to increase rooms in a number of different ways. The more people we can welcome, the more people that we can introduce to the community or invite back again. That's the compression point. If there's another one that sort of releases that a little bit, it's that we invite our friends and family to come and stay us. The challenge is when we fill the hotels, we have to start putting them up in spare bedrooms too.
So as you probably know, tourism is one of our 3 focus areas in the regional economic development strategy. It has a different name than that, but I could never remember it. So I'm going with a regional economic development strategy. Sometimes when people hear that, they are not sure, like, why would that be, on our economic development strategy? And I think maybe sometimes it gets lost that like sports tourism or certain other types of tourism that people don't necessarily think about. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you. And through the chair, thank you for the opportunity. It is in that wheel in one of the slides that we just discussed a moment ago. It's a reminder for all of us that it all starts with a visit. Whether we're going someplace for business, for leisure, whether we're traveling through and it's a waypoint on the way to our ultimate destination, we're there for sport or otherwise, it all starts with a visit. And that's where the wheels start to spin in regards to what that community and place could do for you in your life. I am just broken in a particular way. Every time I go to a place, I leave thinking I've enjoyed it or not. But if I've enjoyed it as a place that I've visited, even if just for a day, I start to just allow my mind to wander what it would look like to live there. What must it be like? And then when I get to come home, it resets me because this is the place that I call home and have for a very long time. So it all starts with a visit. To your point, 85% or more of our visitation in Medicine Hat is likely Albertan travelers traveling within the province. That's significant. That's leisure travel. That number's been increasing year over year. That's people on the way or meeting up with friends and family elsewhere. It's also business tourism. And so when people come in for a business focus, they leave and they can imagine, hopefully with the opportunity to show a little bit of who we are as a community. They leave imagining what it might be like to spend a weekend there and bring family. Sports is the same way, although from a sector perspective, sport tourism is significantly more mature. And so we have not only a wonderful investment in the Sport and Event Council that's here in Medicine Hat, but the industry itself and the investment that the industry partners and the municipality have made so that sport fills these seasons in our year so that we're busier than we would be otherwise. And it's important in that to remember that the first line when we think about travel and tourism might be the hotel room or where somebody's going to stay. And there's an economic impact in that. There's the primary of the spend at that hotel counter, the secondary and the tertiary, those dollars begin to circulate in the community. That's for someone significantly smarter than me to explain. But it's also really important to recognize that once you've done that, Visa a number of years ago said that travelers likely spend 70 to 80 cents on every dollar they spend in a hotel, they spend on food and drink at the same time, and or leisure opportunities. So a $200 hotel room becomes a $350 economic impact that night. And sport tourism allows us to punch above a weight that our leisure tourism has not yet or had not yet grown to when the Sport Event Council launched 8 years ago.
Thank you very much. And we have to happen to have one of their members here with us, Councillor Varga.
So just to say a little bit about that, Chase, our games, the economic impact for those 6 or 7 days that we have in August is between 12 and $14 million that the people are going to bring to our community. So that's huge, I think, for our small community. So that's why we love to host things. We love to host as many things as we can, and when it's a national championship like what we're doing, there's lots of money that's coming into our city to be spread out amongst everybody that's involved with it. So it's a great time in our city for that, and I hope everybody gets involved with what we're doing. So thank you for mentioning sport tourism.
If I may.
You may, but perhaps for after Jace goes, if there's a contact person for volunteers, you might want to mention. Go ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely, lift for that. No, I just wanted to underline for everybody here and perhaps anybody in the community that might be watching in, the Special Olympics will be the single largest multi-sport games that we've ever hosted in Medicine Hat. It's going to tax us in the most beautiful of ways. And that's the economic impact that you described. But it's the entire gamut or range or itinerary of opportunities that exist in the community, whether it's 50 people at an event or 100 people at an event or 1,700 people at an event, whether it's 100% visitor driven like the games might be, or a tournament that includes 6 teams that are local and 4 teams that are visiting. The economic impact shifts and changes, but all of it seems to weave into the fabric of that overall community that we benefit from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you just Google Volunteer Special Olympics Medicine Hat, it'll bring you to the Medicine Hat 2026 Special Olympics volunteer page. And I think there are always room for more volunteers there. So thank you very much, as always, Executive Director Anderson. We appreciate your work and look forward to collaborating long into the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I have been made aware, we're gonna head into our, oh, sorry, go ahead. Okay, it's fixed. So, so we're gonna go, we were having a bit of a technical issue, but it is fixed now. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to item 10, which is a public hearing, and with respect to a development permit application, PLD P20250688, and I hereby call that public hearing to order. I'm just going to refer here to our procedure bylaw at 4.55. So I've opened the public hearing. Administration is going to introduce the matter. And then the applicant, if they are present and want to make a submission, will have a maximum of 10 minutes to make a presentation to council following administration's presentation. Council may ask questions of administration and the applicant. Then I will invite members of the public to speak, including any members of the public attending through electronic means, as follows. So first up will be for those in support. We'll hear those in support in the chamber first, and then we will go to our online participants. If you are participating online, please indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand function. Next, we will hear from those opposed, and first in person and then online. Please indicate by using the raise hand function if you are participating online that you wish to speak. And we will have one final round of opportunity to make submissions if you feel that you have not yet had a sufficient opportunity to speak. So those who wish to speak will have a maximum of 5 minutes to make your presentation. And of course, I think we will have a little time clock up on the screen there so you can kind of keep track. And council will have an opportunity to ask questions of the speakers that come forward to speak. And then finally, council can ask any final questions of administration on any points raised by the public. And then we will close the public hearing. And also, we need to hear from the city clerk regarding the notification report, which I will do prior to asking for any submissions. We will have an introduction from administration. We have Jim Genge, Superintendent of Planning, and Rebecca Arabsky. Oh, I'm so sorry. You'll have to help me out with that one. Arabsky. Yes, okay. Intermediate planner, and they're going to provide a presentation to us. We also have the Director of Planning and Development, John Popov, with us, if anything gets tricky. So go ahead, Superintendent Genge.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to all members of council. Again, my name is Jim Genge. This evening, we have an application submitted by Prime Builders Limited to demolish the former Riverside School building. The application is the first step of a number of steps needed for the landowner to prepare the property for low-density residential development. Riverside School closed in 2017. Shortly after that, the property was sold by the school board, and since then, the building and associated land have been privately owned. On this slide, we have a map showing the zoning of the former school property and the surrounding area. The yellow color on the map shows that the majority of the properties within Riverside are zoned low density and developed with single detached houses. The former school site is the large dark gray property, which is zoned direct control district. Therefore, City Council is the development authority for this application. Riverside School is a very important part of the history and heritage of the Riverside neighborhood. It should be noted, however, that the building is not a designated historic resource, and there are no restrictions to demolition from a heritage perspective. The application was forwarded to the Heritage Resources Working Group for comment in accordance with the Heritage Resources Policy. The working group has been very helpful throughout this application and has provided the applicant with recommendations on preserving heritage. The applicant has demonstrated an intent to preserve as much as possible, including the James Marshall mural, an engraved cornerstone, the entry keystone, and other components. There are two policy documents that we should touch on briefly as they speak to relevant topics such as optimal neighborhood structure and infill development. The municipal development plan policies describe a concept called livable neighborhoods. Riverside is a good example of a livable neighborhood where residents benefit from numerous desirable characteristics, including a variety of housing types, a central focal point, and unique landmarks. In a situation like this, it's important that when redevelopment is proposed, it should not be so incompatible that it might significantly alter the established neighborhood character. We are only talking about a demolition here. This application is only concerned with whether the former school building may be demolished. However, we have additional context which allows us to look forward and ask ourselves, if the demolition is approved, would low-density development be a compatible proposal for this property? And I think that we can be confident that even though the neighborhood will unfortunately lose a piece of its history, low-density development is likely a good fit. A second policy document to touch on is the Riverside Plan. Adoption of this plan occurred in 2019 when the building was in much better condition. The plan gives a lot of consideration to the redevelopment of the property and encourages opportunities for repurpose of the building. Almost 7 years have passed, and the building is unfortunately not what it once was. Its poor condition gives a bit of a new lens with which to view these policies in terms of the viability and feasibility of repurpose. In this plan, there are 3 specific policies to the former Riverside School. One resulted in a council decision to zone the site direct control district, which is the reason council must make a decision on this application. And the primary intent of that was to maintain council control. Another policy encourages public engagement by the developer to support the redevelopment process. And a third encourages preservation and incorporation of heritage elements into a redevelopment design, which is an expressed intention of the applicant. This concludes the presentation. The formal request for decision is shown on this slide. Council may approve or refuse the demolition of the former Riverside School building. Please note that on November 12th, the MPC, or the Municipal Planning Commission, recommended that City Council approve this application. Also on the slide is a summary of recommended conditions, which are fairly standard and are written in full in the report. Approval of this application would not approve any future development over the property. If the demolition is approved, council can anticipate a future application to rezone the property to low-density residential district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you go, is it possible to go back to the map just so we can kind of see the context? Why is this property direct control? This is sort of, I guess, an unrelated piece, but once the school, it's been there, is that why it's direct control?
Your worship, through you to council, was a good question, just for clarity. The decision to zone it direct control was a council decision, not just when it was zoned, but prior to that, through the public engagement process. The importance of the site was really brought forth by the community, and that there was an anticipation in the community that something was coming to a head, that the school board had already signaled the costs of maintaining the building becoming too high, and that it was likely going to be deemed that they would dispose of it at some point. So with it being such a significant piece of history and importance, the council adopted the Riverside Plan, which then directed essentially and signaled to the community that council would then zone the site direct control, and that's what happened.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions for administration at this time? I do not see any. Is the applicant here, and would you like to make a presentation? Please come forward, state your first and last name, and sign in there should be a piece of paper and pen up there. Thank you. And so again, please state your first and last name, and as a reminder, as the applicant, you have 10 minutes for your presentation, not including questions.
I do have a video as well that I
Okay.
believe is ready, and it's 8 minutes, so I'll try to get done shortly. I'll do my presentation first, and then we can view the video afterwards, if that's all right.
Okay, and we do have okay, can I just make sure, is his mic on? Sounds, okay, thank you very
Okay.
much. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Clark, councilors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brad Wenzel, owner of Prime Builders Limited. I am here representing Monarch Land Limited in regard to the demolition of the Riverside School to allow for a new 18 to 20 lot, low-density residential subdivision. This subdivision will have architectural control and complies with the Riverside Community Plan of nothing larger than a duplex on a single residential lot. The interior of the school is in terrible condition. The boilers haven't worked since the initial sale in 2018, and it was leaving inconsistent heat through the summer and winter. Therefore, there's been numerous pipe bursts and water damage throughout the interior. The roof has been leaking for an unknown period of time, leaving hardwood floors and joists saturated, allowing black mold to develop between the hardwood pieces. Plaster is falling in numerous locations. There's been vagrant break-ins in the last 7 years. There's graffiti and profanity everywhere. Toilets have been used without water, and various corners throughout the building have been used as well. I have submitted an engineered report outlining the conditions of the building. We are going to attempt to preserve the following masonry components of the exterior to install in a future location. I've submitted an artist rendering of one idea to preserve the following components: the James Marshall mural, the boys and girls engraved entry stones, the entry keystone with the building at the very front of the year, or the building year at the very front of the building, the engraved cornerstone with the teachers' names and the date of placement. A reasonable amount of brick we are going to try to salvage for a ground patio surrounding this new and future development for the masonry components. We will save and relocate the memorial tree and possibly place it within the development with the masonry components. We still don't know the location of time capsules. Apparently, there's supposed to be a few time capsules on site. But if anybody has information on this, please let me know, and we'll do our best to try and find the time capsules. I have to note that with MPC, Mrs. Marshall was looking for the original bell that was on the James Marshall mural, and it's safely in the care of the school district. So in closing, this is a derelict building in a state of disrepair. The interior of this building does not meet any building codes today, with the banisters and being a lot shorter. I believe it's a safety hazard in the Riverside community with continual vandalism and broken windows. We're constantly boarding up more windows with concern of falling glass. All asbestos products will be removed prior to demolition. Monarch Land Limited is committed to developing this block to meet the current Riverside redevelopment community plan, providing new much-needed lots in the inner city. So I have an 8-minute video showing the interior condition of the building. Please be warned of profanity and graffiti. There's children here. I also apologize for the quality of the video. It's just a video walkthrough. And with limited electricity in the building, I had a light in one hand and my phone in the other taping. So.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll get the video. It's going to go about 2 minutes over, but I think we're okay with that. Go ahead.
Thank you.
That was, picture tells 1,000 words. Are there any questions from council for Mr. Wenzel? Counselor Reinish.
Through the chair, thank you. Mr. Wenzel, as I went to high school and junior high in Prince Edward Island, and I was just on the island for a visit, and I went by both my junior high and my high school. So the people in the neighborhood who probably have not seen inside their school for a long time, the schools that I went to, one was torn down because of asbestos and the other is still standing. So I can certainly feel the pain of not wanting to not be able to remember the time. When it comes to rebuilding or building low-density homes, you haven't stated whether the items that you're salvaging from the school will actually go into those homes. You said they'll be used in other places. The items that you're salvaging, will they go into those homes? And subsequently, is there any way that you could use the facade, the front or the side to build, or would it all just be not cost-effective for you?
It wouldn't be cost effective at all. What we're trying to do with the masonry components is just build a little site and put them on as the artist rendering shows, like possibly in a park or in the corner of our development. There's nothing really left that could be used in a modern home today. There's possibly a few solid doors that haven't been graffitied upstairs that might be of use, but it's not cost effective whatsoever.
The building looked, it actually looked a lot better than I thought it was going to look. Is it again just an issue of not being cost effective to fix it?
Yeah, it's not cost effective. One of the reasons the school district got rid of it in the first place is the whole mechanical system was failing. And they would have had to do that. And it was just not viable for them, and that's why they put it on the market and tendered it out. When I actually inspected Monarch Land, they put an offer in at the initial tender, and when I inspected that school in 2017, it was just like the kids walked out of it. Now with even the structural component about it, the floor joists, when you walk into the middle of the classroom in the old existing part, they are so spongy, and oftentimes you'll just drop down 1.5 inches. It seems that the hardwood is released from the actual joists, or the joists are, the whole floor just wobbles up and down. It deflects.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, it's all a matter of cost, and it would be millions of dollars to get that thing back into shape.
Counselor Young.
Thank you, Mr. Wenzel. The question I have is, the application is from Prime Builders, but you've mentioned Monarch Land. So just clarity on who, is it Monarch Land, is it Prime Builders?
Monarch Land is the landowner.
Oh, okay, they're the landowner?
Yes.
And
yes.
were they the original purchaser of the land?
No.
Can we have some just quick history on how many people have owned it since 2017?
Monarch Land has purchased it and got possession on mid-October of this year. So the neglect and everything happened prior to that.
Okay.
And it was owned by a different company that I don't know if I can say or not, but.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Just the only reason I say that is I think the challenge is, and I can appreciate, we understand these buildings are incredibly expensive to redo. But sometimes the challenge of it being in disrepair, we put a lot of weight on that, but it's up to the owners to keep them in disrepair. So there's a lot of incentive to not keep your building in repair. I mean, right? You just, if I don't keep my building in repair, it's more likely for it to get knocked down. So
I super apologize. I should have said this at the beginning as a reminder. Right now, we're just asking questions
Thank you.
of the participant, and then once we get into our opinions and debate, That'll be after the hearing is closed. So I apologize, I forgot to
Thank you for
remind
that
everyone.
gentle reminder, Mayor Clark. Thank you, Mr. Wenzel. I appreciate your presentation.
Councillor Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wenzel, for your presentation. My question is in regards to the demolition of the building, so noise, dust, sustainable disposal. I'm just curious what your comments would be on that.
Yeah,
If this was to go through.
Axiom will take care of all the asbestos and asbestos removal, so they'll have air quality on there. The demolition crew, the companies we have, will have water and dust control and air quality control when they're knocking it down. Does that answer your question?
And noise?
Well, you can't really, the noise is going to be what the noise is. You can't really control the noise as it's coming on.
Thank you.
And also, as a reminder, the development permit will be dealt with at another hearing. If this property remains direct control, I think it will come to us. If not, then maybe we won't see it again, but this is just for the demolition of the school itself. I don't see any other speakers for this item, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, are you the developer? No, I'm in opposition. Okay, I will get to the individuals who want to speak for and against in just a second. I'm going to first ask the city clerk to provide the city notification and submission report.
Thank you, Your Worship. The city clerk notification report, direct control development permit application, demolition of 201 2nd Street Northwest Riverside School. Public notices were published in the Medicine Hat News on Saturday, November 22nd and Saturday, November 29th, 2025. A notification letter related to the subject development permit application was mailed to 72 adjacent abutting property owners on November 17, 2025. There were 12 late submissions received as of 3 p.m. today.
Late submissions?
Late.
Okay, so as a rule, the submissions have to be received on time to be included in the package and considered by council, but there is the option for council to accept the late submissions and include them in the official corporate record if council so wishes. That would require a motion. Councillor Clugston.
I'll make that motion. I move that council accept the late submissions received regarding the public hearing to be included in the official corporate record.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillors Clugston and Varga. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion to include the late submissions and in the corporate record and the public hearing. That's unanimous. So with that, we're gonna first hear from anyone in the gallery that is in support of the proposed development permit application, which is for the demolition of the former Riverside School building. If you would like to make a submission in support, please come down to the podium and write your name on the provided sheet. Thank you, sir. I am advised that there is no participants online, so we don't have to go with that. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Lauren Shear, and to be truthful, I don't speak in front of people too often, so I'm a little nervous. Do you want my background or anything like that?
You feel free to, you have 5 minutes. A bit of background wouldn't hurt, but.
What's that?
A bit of background wouldn't hurt as long as you can fit in the 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've driven cement truck involved in construction for, since 91. And before that and during, I also was involved with the RCMP and put a couple historic homicide people away. The last one just died in prison. He was classified as the sledgehammer killer. I was also involved with development in Chetwynd, BC, and started a radio station there, which I give to the high schools, so kids could learn how to broadcast. And during my time in Medicine Hat, I got to know Brad Wenzel. He was my neighbor for several years, and also Bill Ewell. I hold them in high respect, and anything they do is to better the community. As you know, Bill has given millions of dollars to the cancer clinic and other things in Medicine Hat. And during my time with concrete companies, I would say that there might be some structural problems with that school, with the basement not being heated. Concrete usually heaves, especially in a high water table area, and that is a high water table area. And it might also disturb the foundation. The cost of doing that building would be totally outrageous. And I'd certainly like to see a development there that would improve that area. And building houses there, as I hear, they're going to be ground level bungalows for senior citizens, larger ones on the south side, smaller ones on the north side, with an alley down the center for utilities and availability for whatever. There is a park to the east that can be utilized and bettered for the kids and the community there. It's quite a large space. I was talking to the fellow that maintains the rink and did for, 20-some years. He's sitting up there. And he brought it to my attention, it'd be nice to see a privacy wall on the east side of the development if it goes ahead, so that the kids playing hockey wouldn't disturb the residents in that area. So, yeah, I'm in favor of it. And I know I'm probably going to get in trouble by some of the people, but, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scheer.
I'd just like to add, anything that Bill Ewell builds and Prime is right up top quality. One thing I'd like to mention, though, is in the future, when a person approaches a city about developments such as Sisson, the cost of putting in the utilities has stopped the developments. And say in the flats, that would have been a good addition of the apartment building that Sisson would have put in. And it would also be beneficial for that development. But you have to make it cost efficient, and you have to not charge too much for putting the utilities in. I understand the basic cost for putting the utilities into this project. The city has brought up a price of $600,000. That's totally outrageous. You add that on top of the development, that's just not a good policy. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scheer. Are there any questions? Councillor Clugston, is this a remnant or, okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your presentation. For the second time, anyone in favor who wishes to speak, please come down to the podium. Third and final time. If anyone wishes to speak in support, please come to the podium and write your name on the sheet. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. I believe we met. My name is Caleb Borge, and I am speaking in favor of tearing this building down, lamentable though it is. I believe the joke goes, everyone's a fan of historic preservation until they get the estimate. And this building sat rotting for 7 years, and this is the result. Buildings have to be lived in, they have to be maintained in order to be useful. And Tragically, we're closing another couple of schools here in Medicine Hat. Schools are not buildings we need, so to speak. What we need is places for people to live. And I'm personally not a fan of low-density housing. The kind of housing I need, the one I'm looking to buy, is medium or higher, which I'd like to point out is precluded by the area structure plan, but because this is direct control, please meddle for my sake and for other people. The current goal for the city is to increase brownfield development and create more space for people to live in Medicine Hat. So if this area can already service a large number of families, if it's already hooked up for a building that could contain 300 people, then perhaps there's room there for another building that could contain a large number of people while preserving a park and facilities for the neighborhood. Please don't be limited just by following what's already on paper. Bringing this building down creates an opportunity for something new to grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I am now going to ask anyone who is in opposition to the development permit application to please come down. Go ahead, sir. Please come down to the podium and write your name on the sheet provided. You will have 5 minutes to speak, not including questions. And of course, please state your first and last name before you give your submission.
Good evening, Mayor Clark and members of council. My name's David Batista. I live in Riverside. I've only been here 3 years, but last week I knocked on doors on my street, handed out flyers at the gas station, and after Mass at St. Patrick's Church, and posted online to find out what neighbors really want for the old Riverside School site. The answer was overwhelming. People want to see this property remain public. Whether it remains a real park or make it a real park, or if we build and restore the building as a community hub. Others just want the eyesore gone. The people across the street from this place have had 9 years of looking out their front windows at vandalized building with boarded up windows on it, and I feel sorry for those people. It is heartbreaking for those people that live across the street. That's basically the whole neighborhood saying no to losing our big open field. Leanne, a member of our community who's lived in Medicine Hat in Riverside for 70 years, who have seen her father, herself, and her children all go to Riverside Elementary School, put it best, and with her permission, I want to read the last 3 lines she wrote. It was a sad day when our pool closed, and then again when our school closed. Don't let this be the 3rd sad day for our neighborhood. Tonight, you decide if that 3rd sad day comes. The application in front of you is for the demolition and 18 to 20 private homes. That's 18 to 20 backyards where kids used to play. We're not against housing. We're against losing the only thing we can't get back. This field is the last walkable green space left in Riverside. It's lined with 50 to 70-year-old trees. These are elm trees and ash trees, which will have a much greater life expectancy if we can get water to them and irrigation, actually put in irrigation and keep these trees going. In the building, yes, it's rough. 9 years of neglect made sure of that. But look at these photos I took yesterday. Okay? Here's the girls' entrance to the school. This is what it looks like still, right now. Okay? This is what we could have right here. The facade isn't in bad shape. Okay? This is what it looks like. This is what we could have. Okay? Here's the boys' entrance. This is what it looks like right now. This is the outside facade of this building. There's no cracks in the foundation. Nothing is leaning. There's even trees growing next to it, and the building's still holding up. This is what we could have. This is it. The front entrance to the building vandalized, boarded up. This is what it looks like right now. Okay? That's what the building looks like today. I just took these pictures yesterday. This is what it could be. The yard, neglected, no irrigation, fencing up. Let's tear those fences down. Let's make it a park. This is it yesterday. This is what we could have. Just need to bring back irrigation to it. We could have kids running in the field again playing soccer. Okay, right now we don't have access to it because there's fences going up all around it, okay? No trespassing signs. The brick archway, every Riversider over 40 walked through on their first day of school. The James Marshall mural still waiting to be saved. The facade can be restored for under $1 million. Monarch Land bought the property. It's my understanding they bought it from Coventry Health, who was the original purchasers of it. Property, I also understood it was 2019, not October, but I could be wrong. But this was a public school, land paid for by our grandparents, the grandparents of the people that live in Riverside. Council, you have the power tonight to work with them or buy it back and give Riversiders what it deserves, what Riverside deserves. Either a building for seniors, a veterans housing, a daycare, or whatever the community needs. And a proper public park with open gates and real grass. That ends the eyesore forever. That heals the wound the city left open 9 years ago. That gives Riverside something instead of taking away the last thing. Please don't let this be the third sad day. Even if you take our school tonight, we will not let you take our field. Vote no, or at least defer, and direct staff to work with Monarch on a real community solution instead of private lots. We received dozens of emails, and this was I just started talking to people on Thursday, and we've already received dozens of emails.
Thank you.
So-
Your time is completed. Do you have a quick closing comment or?
Yeah, I do. So I just wanted to say everyone received one of these reports today. So Council, you were all just handed a safety inspection report paid for by the developer. It says the building is full of burst pipes, mold, and hazards. Do you know why? Because for 9 years, the owners in the city let it rot. No maintenance, no security, no plan. They created disaster, and now they want to be rewarded with 18 to 20 private lots worth millions. This report isn't proof the building can't be saved. It's proof the owners neglected it on purpose so they could demolish it easier. Don't reward neglect, defer the application, force Monarch Land to sell it back to the city at a fair market value for public park and restored community hub. Riverside has waited 9 years for justice. Don't make us wait forever. This land is zoned direct control, which means the council has total power tonight. You're not bound by any standard
Thank you.
rules. You can reject this demolition. Thank you for your time, Mayor Clark.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Are there any questions from council? Our city clerk, if possible, since you did show photos, if she could get a copy of them so
Yeah,
that
for
we
sure.
can include them in the corporate record. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
If there's anyone else opposed for a second time, please come to the podium. And for a third and final time, anyone in opposition, please come down to the podium. All right, so if there's anyone who feels that they have not had an opportunity to make a submission in the opposition or support category, please come down to the podium. Going once, going twice. Yes, sir?
Can I just confirm one thing?
You can come to the podium. Mr. Wenzel?
Yes, I would just like to confirm that Monarch Land Limited gained possession on October 13th, 2025 of this year. We bought it in a state of neglect. So
Thank you.
I just want to confirm that date.
Thank you very much. And so, for a third and final time, if anyone wishes to speak for or against the development permit, please come down to the podium. All right. Seeing none, I will once again ask council if they have any questions for administration. Councillor Young?
Is this the part of the night where we go back and forth and discuss
No,
this,
it
or
is
is this
not.
later?
Nope, it's,
I just, and I can appreciate David's passion. I just have some questions about some statements he made. So I don't know, like not necessarily him, they're just general statements that I'd like clarity on.
okay, you may certainly ask clarifying questions.
Okay. Again, really appreciate passion. And I have a soft spot for old buildings, but at the same time, very much understand the economic challenges. But there were statements there about specifically referencing use of the green space, specifically referencing, this is our green space, don't take it away from Riverside, which I can appreciate, but my understanding is this is private property, is it not? This has already been sold to a corporation. This isn't public property, and the application is not for the development, although we're talking about the development. The application is for the demolition of the building.
That is correct. Mr. Genge, do you have anything you would like to add?
Sure. Mayor, thank you. To hopefully add a little bit of clarity. When we deal with schools that are very old, they're essentially always private property. The system with which we have now, which is where schools are constructed on municipal reserve, was not around, and so Riverside School and that property has been held as a fee simple parcel by the school board for forever, since it was built. So.
And then it was transferred and is now privately owned? I think, was your question? It is, so it has been privately owned this entire time, but it still is privately owned.
Correct, Mayor. We could think of it as always having been owned privately by the school board, then deemed surplus and sold to another private entity.
Thank you, Councillor Hellman.
Thank you, through the chair. That kind of clarified my question a little bit, but I just wanted to note that it was mentioned by the last speaker a couple times about the city buying it back, and the city never did own it. It was the school board that owned it. So the city wouldn't be buying back. So the city didn't sell something that was the community's. The city never owned it in the first place.
All right. Seeing no further questions, I hereby declare this public hearing closed at 7:56 p.m. I would entertain a motion, but I would suggest that the proposed motion needs to be amended slightly.
I'll make the motion. And you want to amend it? Yeah, okay.
Well, I think it should be, just say, I move that council approve development permit application instead of make a decision on.
Okay. I move that council approve a development permit application at PLDP 2025-0688, an application for the demolition of Riverside School building.
And I second that.
All right, now is the time for discussion, opinions, and debate. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this issue? Councillor Cox?
Thank you, Your Worship. To the person speaking opposed, and,
Well, not to him, because the public hearing is over.
right, but addressing those who may not be in favor of the development of this property. All we're doing tonight is approving the demolition of the school. The property remains direct control. Any application to turn it into low-density housing is a separate application that will come forward for its own public hearing at a different point in time. So I just want us all to make sure we understand that. This is only dealing with the demolition of the school. I can safely say, and will say, that I support that motion. The school is beyond hope. Appropriate parts have been will be set aside for preservation, and I'm ready to vote in favor of this motion.
Councillor Mohammed.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, so I thank you for that clarification. That kind of helped to put things into perspective. My comment really earlier was about just certain things that were raised in that conversation, and I know this session is closed, but I just wanted to comment that I am definitely, if this was to move forward and it looks, that I'm a bit concerned about the idea of noise, so I would add a bit of sensitivity when it comes to demolition, especially in a neighborhood where there are families and others, so maybe sensitivity around timing and that kind of stuff could be considered. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Young.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's perspective. Like I said, I have a soft spot for these old schools. I went to school in one in Edmonton, Oliver School downtown, most beautiful building, very similar to this. And I love how in other parts of our community, I think of even on the Hill, there's that old school that was turned into a home. I just think that's such a beautiful thing. I think about the Mackenzie Muse development, and I think it was we got it in the flats, right? And I saw what they did there. It's not apples to apples, and I can appreciate that. I'm just making a statement that I really do want to see us be able to keep these buildings, but at the same time, I just don't see the actual legitimate avenue to keeping this building as it is. It's right. It's too expensive. I don't see anyone coming in saying, hey, I'm willing to do that. They've had, since 2017, people have had the opportunity to do that. So, and I apologize, I'm not trying to take up airtime, I'm just trying to think through, or talk through my thought process here. But yeah, I really hope that the development of that area can honor the culture and the history and that building. And it sounds like there is some plans in the works to hold pieces of that, like the James Marshall and other pieces. So I think they can be utilized, while maybe not into the homes, like Councilor Reinisch said, into the park and into other areas. I do think also there is, I mean, we didn't talk about it, but there is a massive green space right next to it. Like, I'm not trying to discredit, but if we were talking about a building and, there was surrounded by other buildings, but we're using the green space as a reasoning, but there is a significant amount of green space right beside that, right? So it's not like we're taking away, I mean, yeah, we are in a sense. But anyways, that's my thinking. I think we gotta do the right thing and probably take the building down as long as we can keep remnants of it.
Councillor Cox.
I have a request of building maintenance or whoever. My button is stickier than everybody else's. Hard to turn on and hard to turn off. And I don't think it's my finger. All right. And I had a point to make. Oh, my question was, do we need to put conditions? I mean, we've heard undertakings to preserve things. Do we need, and perhaps Mr. Genge can answer this question, can we put conditions on the issuance of the development permit that certain structural elements will be preserved as determined by the city and the developer? And if they can't come to agreement, they can come back to us.
I will let Mr. Genge respond, but ultimately this is private land with a privately owned business or privately owned building on it. All the stuff in that building belongs to the owner of the building. It's probably out of our scope, and probably rightly so, but Mr. Genge?
Your worship, I think my best answer would be that I think that you may put any condition that council desires. I guess the difficulty is when you, to satisfy conditions that there could be an issue with being able to do that, because the process of determining what can be preserved, and I can't really speak to this as an expert, but could be more of an investigation that occurs as the building is demolished. So to be so specific by way of a condition, you might not really get it accurate, and then you're dealing with a condition that may not be able to be satisfied.
And to Councillor Mohammed's point, if you look at the request for decision, there is a listing of, so we're approving subject to the following conditions, and one of them, condition 5, is the demolition must not cause undue negative impacts on the neighboring properties. Demolition activities must comply with the community noise standard bylaw, bylaw 4353, and all other relevant municipal bylaws. Dust and debris from demolition activities must be controlled to the satisfaction of the development authority. And there are 4 other conditions there. With that, Councillor Cox, if you have a follow-up.
Well, then I'm going to move an amendment to the motion that the demolition of the former Riverside School building be permitted with the preservation of certain structural elements to be agreed upon between the developer and the city planning department, subject to returning the issue to council if they cannot come to an agreement. I think we've talked about what those elements are. The city has a good idea of what, and the developer, of what could be preserved from there. I don't think we need to be specific. Let them go away and try to come up with an appropriate list. That's my movement, my motion to amend the motion.
We'll just wait till we get something on the screen to make sure that your motion is accurately reflected. Okay, and I have been advised that the original motion that Councillor Clugston made should include the, so council approves the development permit subject to the conditions as presented in the request for decision on page 52. That is a bit of would you agree that's housekeeping, Councillor Clugston?
Yes.
Thank you.
My amending motion can simply read, and also subject to the preservation of certain structural elements as shall be determined between the city planning department and the developer. So I'm just adding that condition. That would be the intent of my motion.
Director Popoff.
Your worship,
So can I
through
just,
to,
can I interrupt for a point of order? We don't have a seconder on this yet, and so we're going to get some advice on maybe why that is not.
That's right, yeah,
So
so,
if we don't, if it dies for lack of seconder, then this is all moot.
yes, so, but the housekeeping amendment, subject to conditions outlined in the
That was
request
a
for
friendly
decision.
amendment?
That's still in. So now we have a motion, an unseconded motion to add a condition, and I believe that is what Director Popoff is going to address? Okay, all right, so do we have a seconder? You have to say it in your mic.
Apologies. I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Director Popoff?
your worship, through to Councillor Cox and the rest of council. This is an application for demolition permit. There is not a historic designation on this particular property. And you would have the authority when an application comes forward to look at the form and character of any future development and to request that there be architectural elements preserved. I don't believe that we have the authority at this point to suggest that pieces of that building be protected and reintegrated into a new plan. This is an application for demolition of an existing building, which would mean taking that building out, clearing the site, and then readying it to have another application come forward to either rezone to a residential use or perhaps to have a permit for a use be proposed for that site. Again, that would be up to the private property owner. I do not believe we have the ability at this point with the application before us to request as a condition elements of that building to be protected and used in a future application, because the application is for the demolition of a structure, which means taking that structure down, removing it, and then leaving the site in a safe state for a future application.
Thank you. Councillor Young.
Thank you for that clarity. I guess my question is, well, then if they demolish it, there's no building left. And so it doesn't really matter. They can't, if they don't save any pieces of it, then I guess there's no pieces to include in the development. And then I guess as I'm looking through the application permit and the additional information that's provided here, we're given reference to a park that uses new or uses previous parts of that building. So then if we don't have the authority, why are we looking at a park that has pieces, or why is the developer saying this is potentially how I'll use this? I guess it's just clarity, like why are we even having that conversation then?
Why are we having the conversation about, from the commitment from the developer, the suggestion from the developer that he?
If Director Popoff is saying we don't have that authority, but then I see a bunch of reference in our material that says this is how we propose to use this, I guess I'm just wondering, if we don't have the authority, why is the developer saying this is how I'll potentially use this building?
I would suggest that the developer is trying to be a good member of the community and recognizes that there is some warmth and associated, but that would be speculation. That was my understanding is, yeah.
And just for clarity though, there's no mechanism to hold them to account for that. Like you can just say, and I'm not saying that they're gonna do that. I'm not assuming negative intent or anything like that, but I just wanna have clarity that you can say all that, but really if you wanna do it, it's up to you. Is that what I'm getting at? Is that true?
Director Popoff.
Your worship, through to the rest of council and to Councillor Young specifically, if the applicant and the mayor is correct, if the applicant chose to take pieces of the building down, keep them and reintegrate them into a future land use or proposal that would reflect on the history of the building, protect some of the open space, they have that ability at this point. we, as the development authority, have an application to demolish a building. We don't have a historic designation on it or any other mechanism to state that you must protect this, that, or the other element. You can certainly ask the applicant if they intend to protect some elements of this property, but from the application perspective, it is to demolish the structure and remove it and place the site into a safe state.
Follow-up?
Yeah, just, I appreciate the clarity, and I apologize for the back and forth. Obviously, this is my first time doing something like this, so the additional questions come from that, so thank you.
Councillor Clugston?
Through the chair, I think you nailed it when you said they're good community partners, the builder, the developer. I can assure council that the developer has been working with the Heritage Resource Committee, and they have been on board, and they were the ones that went through the building and made the suggestions about keeping the cornerstone and the Marshall. But to us to meddle and to get, you know what, there's a brick inside there that I think somebody carved their name on it one time, is going to delay this application, may cause extra costs for the developer, and the developer may pull out. And then I don't think people realize how much it costs to take down a building. It probably close to $1 million worth of tipping fees at our dump, and we're very, very lucky actually to have a developer willing to take the risk of taking this building down in the first place, and then the risk of us as direct control denying the application for the future residential. So there's a lot of risk on the developer, and I do not want to add any more on them, but they have been good stewards of this property, in my opinion. And if there was, I don't think there's anybody from the Heritage Resource Committee here tonight, but, oh, yes, okay, and you're on MPC as well. They were in support because they were happy to work with the developer, you know, picking and choosing what parts could be salvaged at the developer's cost.
Can I just?
I'm going to go to Councillor Cox, and then I will come back to you.
I share your concern, Councillor Young, and you are absolutely correct. And the last time, and I'm not casting any aspersions on this developer, I have a pretty good feeling that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. But the last time we trusted a developer to do that, they did exactly the opposite. And I'm talking about the property on the corner of Division Avenue and First Street Southwest. There was a house on there that did not carry a historic designation, but which was considered historically valuable and worth preserving by many members of the community. And the developer said, we're going to use that building. We're going to renovate and create something with that existing building. And then they got into it and they went, oh, the cost is ridiculous and it's cheaper just to tear the whole thing down. And we had no option. There was nothing left to do on that. So that's why I'm saying, and I disagree with Mr. Popoff on this respectfully, that we can impose some conditions. They can't demolish that building without our permission. And if we are saying preserve some elements, we don't know what use will be made, but at least we can say preserve them. And I think we know what we're talking about. We're talking about boys and girls entrance and some masonry over the front door and the Jim Marshall sign and the cornerstone. But we have, once we pass this motion, if it's not amended, as I'm suggesting, then we lose all control. The developer can begin tomorrow, tear it down and haul it off to the dump.
Councillor Young, did you still wish to speak? I have two first-time speakers as well.
Thank you for that gentle reminder. No, I really appreciate Councillor Clugston. That additional context is super, super helpful, and so thank you for that. And then, but then Councillor Cox's rebuttal is also very helpful. So I would love to hear what other people have to say, or even Councillor Clugston, a response to that, or is it just, okay, that is what happened previously. We understand that. We feel this developer is a good neighbor, so we have to take that chance. You have to ultimately weigh we don't want red tape, but we also have to be able to, we want to respect history. So something has to kind of give there.
Councillor Hellman.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Through the chair, I guess I'm not really understanding here. This is a piece of private property. It has no historical designation. There's no governing body protecting it in any way, shape, or form. A heritage committee could have stepped in during the original sale back in 2017 or whenever it was, sold by the school board, and put caveats on it that certain things would be preserved, but that did not happen. So this is a piece of private property that's been sold to a private developer to do with, to develop. And I don't know who we are to tell them anything about what they need to preserve from this building. I think if we want to be in the business of doing that, or the community wants to be in the business of doing that, the community should be buying the building. It's not for us to say.
Councillor Pfaff?
Yeah, I guess just to echo what Councillor Hellman said, I think that's why we have a historical working group, and sorry if I didn't use the right term there, but this is why we have a group that does that work, where they would designate it if it was so needed. So I think we rely on their expertise, and since they didn't do that, putting up additional roadblocks to a developer who, as Councillor Clugston did say, takes on a huge amount of risk when they buy a property like this to first demolish and then build new buildings on it. So, yeah, I would be against putting any more stipulations on it, even though I do see strongly the value in what you're suggesting, such as, you know, the boys and girls entrance and the Marshall thing.
Jim Marshall.
Yeah, sorry, I can't think of the word. But I don't think we should be putting stipulations on that. And if they want to save them, I think that's great.
Director Popov, I have Councillor Varga. Would you like to hear his comments before you comment, or do you have something that you would like to say at this point?
Your worship, through to council and through to Councillor Cox. You're right, you could put a condition on. My point was, and I want to just be clear, is that the application was for complete demolition without any elements to be preserved or to be integrated into a new development. So if that were to be conditioned, I think that it would be useful for us to know what those elements are. To leave it up to our discretion is providing us with a lot of latitude, and I believe at this point we don't have a lot of clarity. One option I think would be, and just for your consideration, would be if you want to go down that path, would be potentially to refuse this permit, and then to have them reapply after we have a discussion with them with regard to what elements they may want to consider. If it's left to our discretion, then it is unknown what we could or couldn't protect on that property, and again, there could be a discussion, but a condition certainly could be put on. I just want to be clear that the application did not contemplate protection of any specific elements, and a new application may integrate pieces from that building, but that again would be left up to the applicant.
Thank you, Councillor Varga.
Then I'm confused, because in the application for demolition, it says here, and I quote, "We are planning on preserving the James Marshall mural along with the engraved cornerstone and entry keystone to be included in the future development." It's in here. It's in here, so can't we hold them accountable for that reason with the application that they've set in? They've actually said it here that they're gonna do that, so.
Yeah, and that was my question.
Page, can I get,
Thank you.
can I get the
Sorry,
page
Mayor Clark.
number that you're?
Page number 53, page 53, right at the very bottom, and it's in quotations. I
Yeah,
just read
so
a
that's
small
not
portion of-
part of the conditions.
That's just
That's a,
like a promise.
I would hold them accountable to that for being in the application.
okay, Mr. Genge?
Your worship, to hopefully clarify, that's part of the submission or part of the application that was submitted, providing their purpose and intent for the demolition. It's not a condition of this demolition approval. I think it's also there to demonstrate good faith and a clear intent to do what they can.
All right, I have Counselor Cox and Counselor Young. So Counselor Cox, go ahead.
Just to the point raised by Counselor Pfaff, properties only receive historic designation if the owner is in agreement with it. A historic committee can't make the application on behalf of a property that they think should be preserved. It has to come from the owner of the property. So our only way to preserve these things, and they are identified, so if Counselor Young would agree to a friendly amendment, perhaps my amendment could be put up there so we can see it?
Counselor Young, oh, as seconder?
Yes.
Okay.
And also subject to the preservation of certain structural elements, subject to the City of Medicine Hat and the developer agreeing is what I intended. But we could say, subject to the, certain structural elements as a group, as undertaken by the developer. They've undertaken to make that. All I'm wanting is that they're undertaking to preserve those few things be included as a condition of this.
Okay, so, I do understand, the motion to amend. I guess I would ask Counselor Young if he agrees to that amendment to the amendment.
Yeah, and again, I apologize to everyone. It seems like we're beating a dead horse here, but we're also just trying to figure out how to work through some of these issues together. And this is kind of the first one that we've had here that, yeah, that's having us question. I think where it's coming from for me is just if they're saying that they're going to do it, or can we hold them accountable? It sounds like we can't, but we have to trust them. But I think I also recognize, going back to Councillor Hellman, I don't mean to be insensitive, but we're not, like, we're talking about specific areas of a school. This, yes, it's important, but it's not so important that it has historical designation. It's not like this was the first school that, you know, whatever, that did something, and I gotta be careful, I don't mean to disparage it, but it's a school, right? So sometimes I'm just wondering if we're majoring on the minor here. So yeah, I think I'm happy just to go ahead with the permit, the way it is.
Okay, so
no.
Counselor Mohammed is a first-time speaker on this issue, and Counselor Reinish is a first-time speaker on this issue, and you're speaking to the amendment?
Point of order, if I may, Your Worship. I'm just trying to clarify my motion. I was trying to see if my seconder agreed to the friendly amendment to the motion to amend.
And he did.
And I think it needs one, as undertaken by the developer in their application. They've made this undertaking that they're going to preserve these things. That's in their application. They're identified. We just want to hold them to that. And I don't think it'll be a problem. I think they're prepared to. But the last time we took somebody at their word,
Okay,
they
Counselor
said
Cox, I'm
no.
just gonna get confirmation that Counselor Young,
I would like to hear from the developer. Can I, or no?
with leave of counsel, yes, we can, but then we're opening it up to hear from everyone again.
I'm just asking for, if you agree to
Yeah, do
a
you agree
friendly
to the
amendment.
second that motion as written?
So I'm challenged right now because in theory, yes, I agree, but I just heard from Director Popoff that, and from Councillor Clugston, that could open up a whole bunch more can of worms that we're not prepared to.
You can vote against the motion that you've agreed to second.
Okay, so,
that's
okay.
fine.
Counselor Mohammed?
Well, thank you, through the chair. I guess I wanted to go back to the planning department. What I'm hearing is that if this motion goes through with this amendment, there needs to be a resubmission of application, because that's not what was given to you. And what's the impact for the developer, so, but from planning, I'm just talking to planning.
Your worship, I think if I'm hearing the question for clarity correctly, that no, there's no need to come back with a new application here. Council may apply a condition. There's difficulties with doing that. So I think the discussion is good to have now on this item that we have before us today. Thanks.
Okay, are there any objections from council to hearing from the developer on this amendment? Seeing no objections, go ahead, Mr. Wenzel.
Thank you. On my initial demolition permit, I had put in there that we are going to preserve the components of the James Marshall and the boys and girls and the cornerstones and everything. That was addressed on the initial development permit for demolition. It was put on my application. I don't have it with me, so I can't be sure.
Yes, you did. I think our question now is whether that needs to be, Councillor Cox is proposing that that should be a condition of the development permit to demolish. And so we do have your comments from your application in front of us.
Okay, I thought that would make me accountable for doing that. And all in good faith, we would do that with Monarch Land Limited. They live in the area, and they are just doing this in good faith and are very good friends with James Marshall. And so they would love to beautify the area of Riverside and also keep some of that heritage.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My suggestion, I am going to say, okay, I see that the speaker in opposition has his hand up, but I'm going to ask council, we would need council leave to hear from him. Are there objections?
Point of order. The hearing is closed.
It is.
We granted the developer the chance to say he's good for his word, but I don't think we need to reopen the hearing to everybody. I'm trying, my motion to amend is simply the only way I see that we can hold the developer to their word. And the last time we had a developer give us his word.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's this developer, we lost that issue.
Thank you.
So I don't want that to happen again.
So since there was an objection, we will vote on the leave for additional speakers or re-speakers.
Vote yes if you want him to speak.
That's true. Okay, so are you making a point of order? That,
My point of order is that we should not reopen the public hearing, and I don't think we need to hear from anybody else at this point. So unless there's a motion to allow further speakers and reopen the hearing, which would be highly irregular, we should just go to the vote on my motion to amend.
we are just going to proceed. Councillor Mohammed, do you have a comment on?
Is it illegal to make a motion
It isn't, well, it depends what that motion is.
to allow him to speak?
It isn't, that is in order, yes.
I can do it.
Yep, and
All right. I make a motion that we allow him to speak.
I'll second that.
okay. We will vote on that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed.
We have to vote on the motion. It doesn't pass, so we're not hearing any further speakers. With respect to the motion to amend on the floor, My feeling, my view is that we don't have the money to purchase the land, we don't have the money to renovate the building. So the reality is that if this doesn't go forward, it is going to sit in its current state. I think the formula is something like $1 million is 1% tax increase. We've heard how expensive that's, maybe $10 million to fix it up, and then we would be responsible for maintaining it. It is very sad, obviously, that, buildings like this are not kept up over time and, like in other countries, you have buildings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. But from my perspective, the options are not the city takes it over and refurbishes it and makes it beautiful again, because we cannot afford to do that. The options are develop it or not develop it. Develop it or it sits in its current state. So with that said, I think we will take the vote on the motion to amend. That is defeated. All right, so now we are back to the original motion, which is the approval of the development permit subject to the conditions in the request for decision. Any further speakers? I can't see the speakers list, but, okay. We're going, all right, Councillor Young.
I apologize for opening up a can of worms. Honestly, I was just trying to get clarity. I feel like based on the application, I do trust that the developer is going to go ahead and deliver on those promises. They've made public promises, so we'll be able to see pretty quickly if they're able to do, or not pretty quickly, but soon enough. So apologize for the open up a can of worms, but I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, Councillor Young. We will vote on the motion. That is unanimous. And if I may remind the public of Mr. Wenzel's comment that if anyone has information about the whereabouts of the time capsules that are alleged to be in or about the building, one or more time capsules, please do reach out to Prime Builders. Thank you very much. Would anyone like a break? All right, we will take a 5-minute recess, returning at, we'll go actually till 1:45. could please take their seats. All right. So our next item on the agenda is some unfinished business. And we have, we're gonna have a motion from, Counselor Clugston to deal with 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, and 11.4 as a single item.
So moved.
All right. Do we have a seconder?
I will second it.
Okay, thank you. So,
Question for your worship. So this motion is,
accept the procedure. I apologize, not 11.4, just 11.1, 11.2, 11.3.
so the motion is that we deal with them together, but not how we deal with them. Am I right on that?
Well, I suspect that the motion that is made would
I'll
deal
wait
with
for-
all of them.
All right.
Okay. And we had a seconder, Counselor Reinish seconded, so we will vote on that motion. All right, that passes. Counselor Clugston as Chair of Energy, Land and Real Estate, Environment and Real Estate, Energy, Land and Environment. Can you please provide a motion?
Yeah, I moved it, as we deal with them all at once, but I moved it, well, I don't know what I'm moving, actually, other than the fact that we deal with them all at once. If there's any questions or comments on any of the individual items,
Are you moving
If I may.
approval of all of them?
I'm moving approval of all of them, yes.
Makes a difference, huh?
Yes.
Okay, so
But
your motion would be that council approve the 2026 utility distribution system operating revenue and expenditure budget amendments and the 2026 utility distribution system capital budget amendments, the 2026 electric generation operating revenue and expenditure budget amendments, 2026 electric generation capital budget amendments, 2026 natural gas production operating revenue and expenditure budget amendments as presented, and the 2026 operating intangible capital asset budgets for the Land and Real Estate Department.
Yes, and thank you for that. I'm still trying to learn this new format here, and it's a little confusing for me, but yes, that's exactly it.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no Counselor Cox.
I'm pleased to see this coming forward from our department, from the committee of which I am a member. I think these budget amendments are necessary and really are not substantial enough to cause us to delay this any further. And I think that ultimately the impact on rates is already determined. Most of these expenses are incurred, we're bringing the budget into alignment with the costs that are now projected for completion of projects previously approved. So I support this totally, and I just hope the public understands that we're not glibly approving budget amendments when we know that everyone is facing challenges in the pocketbook department.
All right, I don't see any further speakers. So we will vote on the motion. And that passes unanimously. Next up, 11.4, bylaw 4867, amendments to the procedure bylaw. City clerk / interim city manager Osrud.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. So on page 245 is the request for decision for the amendments to the procedure bylaw, bylaw 4867. The recommended motions is that council gives second reading to bylaw 4867 as amended, and that council gives third and final reading to bylaw 4867. In the background, it shares the process that has gone forth with the amendments to this bylaw.
Thank you. Any questions? So at 4.23, we have that the regular meetings must commence at 6:30. So I suppose it's consistent with the rest of the language, so I won't comment on that, but at some point, we should look at regular meetings do include the closed portion of the meeting. I was wondering if in 11.91, council may appoint the mayor as ex officio, but was the intention that the mayor shall be ex officio member? Yeah. Can we get a motion to amend that before let's get second reading on the table first. Who would like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
So your motion is to give second reading to bylaw 4867 as amended?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion regarding item?
Should we get a second?
Oh, yes, please, sorry.
I'll second that.
So Counselor Cox seconds that. And then a motion to amend 11.9.1.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so we're amending 11.9.1 to say that the mayor shall be an ex officio member of any standing committees, and the mayor may attend such standing meetings at the mayor's discretion, and then the rest is the same. So the amendment is to replace council may appoint the mayor as an ex officio member to the mayor shall be an ex officio member. Is there a seconder?
I second.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the amendment. Oh, no, Councillor.
I did the first one, yeah.
That's unanimous. And we can go for a third reading if someone makes a motion. Sorry, second reading. Shouldn't have taken that break. Thank you very much for the reminder. Councillor Clugston, Councillor Young. Okay, that's unanimous. third reading?
I will move third reading and passage of the bylaw.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion to give third and final reading to bylaw 4867. That is unanimous. Next up is 12, new business. Item 12.1, intercity forum on social policy. Can I ask that either acting city manager Osrud or acting managing director Paseco provide an update on this one?
Thank you very much. Through the chair, the City of Medicine Hat is a member of the Intercity Forum on Social Policy. For each member, there is a council designate and an administrative designate who attend the meetings and are part of the forum. And this request is to have Councillor Cox appointed as the city's representative to the Intercity Forum.
And I apologize for my confusion on this before and not appointing it. I thought that the member of council who was a member was so because of her other work. So my apologies for that. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that Councillor Cox be appointed as the representative on the Intercity Forum on Social Policy. Is that correct? Yes. Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hellman, any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the motion. Okay, all right. Are you? Are you just joshing? All right, all right. So congratulations, Councillor Cox. You are the new appointee to the Intercity Forum on Social Policy. Yes. So we'll move on to committee business item. Oh, no, we took that off the agenda. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, I do not see any further business. So are there any objections to adjourning the meeting at this time? All right, we are adjourned at 8:58 p.m.